Yashodanandana Bhajaja Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvakacharya Sutra Tata Sri Śrīmad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Daghora Premanandi. So, reading from Preaching is the Essence. The Krishna conscious movement has been set up to distribute knowledge. Knowledge is meant for distribution. Although there is already much scientific knowledge, whenever scientists or philosophers awaken to a particular type of knowledge, they try to distribute it throughout the world, for otherwise the knowledge gradually dries up and no one benefits from it. India has the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, but unfortunately, for some reason or other, this sublime knowledge of the science of God was not distributed throughout the world, although it was meant for all of human society. Therefore, Krishna himself appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and ordered all Indians to take up the cause of distributing the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita throughout the entire world. Yaridheka taridheka Krishna Upadesh Amara Anghana Guru Hana Tare Edesh. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 7:128. Although India has the sublime knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Indians have not done their proper duty of distributing it. Now, therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement has been set up to distribute this knowledge as it is, without distortion. Although previously there were attempts to distribute the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, these attempts involved distortion and compromise with mundane knowledge. But now the Krishna consciousness movement, without mundane compromises, is distributing Bhagavad Gita as it is, and people are deriving the benefits of awakening to Krishna consciousness and becoming devotees of Lord Krishna. Therefore, the proper distribution of knowledge has begun, by which not only will the whole world benefit, but India's glory will be magnified in human society. That is from Bhagavatam 10-19, page 144. And I was just thinking, Prabhupada, in his introduction, he starts off by saying, if so many editions of Bhagavad Gita have already been translated, so what is the need for another edition? And he was making the point in this purport also that the knowledge wasn't given as it is, It was mixed with mundane knowledge. And also, he mentions here how many people actually became devotees of Krishna from reading, there's so many editions of Bhagavad Gita that were already out. So this is the great glory of Srila Prabhupada. He's brought Bhagavad Gita as it is, presenting Krishna as it is. So we're hearing about Krishna from a pure devotee of Krishna. And because bhakti, devotional service, is relationship, a devotee knows Krishna, or a pure devotee knows Krishna, and therefore he's able to give Krishnas to others. Whereas scholars or mundane scholars, they're not devotees of Krishna, so they actually don't know Krishna. So they try to philosophize and try to analyze, this blue boy from the spiritual world, and they don't know who he is. They just speculate. Like we hear Ramakrishna. It's not to Krishna we have to surrender, but it's to the impersonal light being unborn within Krishna. So no, that's not what the pure devotees are telling us. No, Krishna is Satchidananda Vigraha. He's eternal, full of bliss, full of knowledge, and his form is composed of that. So Krishna is not different from his form, and that's why Prabhupada, presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is created a spiritual revolution, or sparked the spiritual revolution within the impious lives of all the world civilization. Okay, going on. Does anybody have any comments on what we just heard, or questions?
I thought it was really powerful. I was thinking about all of that this knowledge is meant for distribution. And somehow or other it hasn't happened. All this scientific knowledge is spreading all over the world, but this more important knowledge remains stuck in India. It's very powerful. Inspiring. And this whole movement was set up because there's different reasons here for why ISKCON was created, like provide the association of devotees, or this one says distribute this knowledge worldwide.
Actually, principle number 7, to fulfill these aforementioned principles, to print, distribute, the periodicals and books and like that. So the most important is to distribute this knowledge. Therefore, by people having this Vedic knowledge, then all the other purposes of this can be fulfilled. And if people don't even understand what the purpose of the movement is, how can they actually, fulfill or they don't understand who Krishna is, what the spiritual world is, what the point of this material world is, what would they do? Okay.
I was also thinking that even a Vishnu avatar or Vishnu Tattva themselves, they didn't spread this knowledge all over the world. They more or less just staying to India, but Srila Prabhupada, as a Shakti Vaishya avatar, did something which even Vishnu Tattva didn't do.
Yesterday we were discussing right in class that whoever touches the book, whoever gets the book, is guaranteed to become a devotee. And this is how much power it is in this Bhagavad Gita. It's really touchstone. That's the addition. That's it works really.
Okay, go on. Today's verse, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Before we open Bhagavatam now, Srila Sanatana Goswami has composed these wonderful prayers in glorification of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. They're found in the Sri Krishna Lila Stava of Sanatana Goswami, and he's actually offering 108 obeisances to the pastimes of Krishna, and this is actually the 107th obeisance when he composed this. Is this Bhagavatam Mahima Sutta. Sarva Shastri Vipulasya Sarva Vedhaka Satphala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaya Sarva Lokyaya Trikpada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabhu Kali Dhvanto Didaya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, you are the most prominent transcendental fruit of the Vedas and are enriched with jewels of all philosophical conclusions. You grant spiritual vision to all people of this world and are the very life breath of the Vaishnava devotees. O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. Actually, you are Lord Krishna who has returned among us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Yaksharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. O Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, I offer respectful obeisances unto you. By your recitation one attains transcendental bliss, because your syllables shower down pure love of God. You are to be served by everyone always, for you are an incarnation of Lord Krishna. Mareka bandhu mat sangin, makuru man mahadhana, manistara kama bhakya, mat ananda namostute. O Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, O my only friend, my companion, and my teacher, O my great wealth and deliverer, O my good fortune and bliss, I offer respectful obeisances unto you. Asadu sadhu totayin ati nicho chatakara hanamucha kadachinmam premarit kantaya spura. O Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O uplifter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Accompanied by pure love of Krishna, please manifest yourself in my heart and throat. Jai. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Continuing, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, entitled Divinity and Divine Service, Text 19. Tada Raja Tama Bhava Kama Lobha Adaya Cha Ye Chaita Anavidham Sthitham Sattve Prasiddhati Tadharajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye Cheta ete anavidham Sthitham Sattve Prasiddhati Tadharajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye Cheta ete anavidham Sthitham Sattve Prasiddhati Tadharajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye Cheta ete anavidham Sthitham Sattve Prasiddhati. Tadarajastamo Bhavaha Kamalobhadayaschaye Tadarajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye
Rajastamo Bhava
Kamalobhadayaschaye
Chete Terana Vidham Sthitham Sattve
Prasiddhati Tadarajastamo Bhavaha Kamalobhadayaschaye Cheta ete anavidham Cheta Prasiddhati Tadarajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye
Chetatena vidam.
Chetatena vidam.
Citam sattve prasidati.
Citta sattve prasidati. Mataji. Kamalobhadayaschaye Chaityanabhidham Prasidati. Mataji. Nila Manjari, Mataji. Brava Kamalobhadayaschaye Chaityanabhidham Sivam Sattve Prasidati. Tadha. At that time, Raja, in the mode of passion, Tama, in the mode of ignorance, Bhavaha, the situation, Kama, lust and desire, Lobha, hankering, Adhaya, others, Cha, and Ye, whatever they are, Chaita, the mind, Etai, by these, Anavidham, without being affected, Stitam, being fixed, Sattve, in the mode of goodness, Siddhati, thus becomes fully satisfied. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Purport. A living being, in his normal constitutional position, is fully satisfied in spiritual bliss. This state of existence is called Brahma Bhuta, or Atmanandi, or the state of self-satisfaction. This self-satisfaction is not like the satisfaction of the inactive fool. The inactive fool is in a state of foolish ignorance, whereas the self-satisfied Atmanandi is transcendental to the material state of existence. This stage of perfection is attained as soon as one is fixed in irrevocable devotional service. Devotional service is not inactivity, but the unalloyed activity of the soul. The soul's activity becomes adulterated in contact with matter, and as such, the diseased activities are expressed in the form of lust, desire, hankering, inactivity, foolishness, and sleep. The effect of devotional service becomes manifest by complete elimination of these effects of passion and ignorance. The devotee is fixed at once in the mode of goodness, and he makes further progress to rise to the positions of Vasudeva, or the state of unmixed sattva, or Shuddha sattva. Only in this Shuddha sattva state can one always seek Krishna eye to eye by dint of pure affection for the Lord. A devotee is always in the mode of unalloyed goodness, therefore he harms no one. But the non-devotee, however educated he may be, is always harmful. A devotee is neither foolish nor passionate. The harmful, foolish, and passionate cannot be devotees of the Lord, however they may advertise themselves as devotees by outward dress. A devotee is always qualified by the good qualities of God. Quantitatively, such qualifications may be different, but qualitatively, both the Lord and His devotee are one and the same. Om Angyata Mirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chachurud Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadama Yam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuthapata Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamishta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvetam Sabdutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamshta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kam Karoti Vachalam Panganayate Girim Yakripat Muhammad Shri Guru Taranam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Shunyamadi Pashata Deshatarine. Before speaking on today's verse, I'd like to ask for the blessings of all the senior devotees, Lila Manjari Mataji, Bhagavad Purana, Prabhu, Krishna Prabhu. This be something in line with Parampara and that's beneficial for us individually and collectively. So again, the text, as soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. A living being in his normal condition, constitutional position, is fully satisfied in spiritual bliss. Prabhupada is giving this verse in purport is speaking about the modes of material nature are being mentioned, and also once the modes of material nature are removed, the devotee is established in unalloyed happiness. He becomes completely happy. So our normal constitutional position is to be satisfied in spiritual bliss. Prabhupada starting off this purport, because our natural position is that we're Satchidananda, living entity. So we're not meant to undergo birth, death, disease, and old age, which we're currently involved in because of our being implicated in this material world. So the state of our real existence is the Brahmabhuta stage, or Atmanandi, Prabhupada is saying. Brahmabhuta prasadatma nasochati nakansati sarma sarvesa bhuteshu mahabhakti labhate param. So we're meant as an eternal fragmental spiritual soul, part and parcel of Krishna, we're meant to be self-satisfied. We don't need to be engaged in this material world to find some happiness. But because of illusion, ahankara prakriti kriyamanani guna karma sarvasa ahankara vimudatma katahamiti manyate. Because of being bewildered by the three modes of material nature, by the false ego, we're thinking we're the doers and we're the enjoyers of this material energy. But actually we're satisfied. Our real position is to be satisfied in the self, Brahma Bhuta, Nasochati Nakansati, and in this state, there's no longer hankering nor lamentation. So the living entity, because of the false ego, we're always either lamenting or hankering. So we're either lamenting about something that happened in the past. Oh, things could have been this way. I could have been this person. Why should have done this in this situation? Or we're hankering about the future. What would I eat tomorrow? How will I go on? My job, my boss hates me, my wife, this and that, hankering about so many things. I mean, I'm a brahmachari, so I'm not thinking about my wife hates me. But in general, the living entity in this material conditioned world are worrying about so many things because they're not satisfied in the self. So they're lamenting and they're hankering about the future. They're not self-satisfied. Self-satisfied, I mean, you're good in the present, because, and ultimately that self-satisfaction is coming because we're understanding our connection with Krishna. The self-satisfaction is not like the satisfaction of the inactive fool, Prabhupada goes on to say. The inactive fool in the state of foolish ignorance, whereas the self-satisfied Atmanandi is transcendental to the material state of existence. So we see some examples of great devotees who may appear like inactive fools, but it's not like inactive fools of this material world. Just a couple examples that came to mind. Gorakishore Das Babaji, for example, he would sit outside of a latrine, like a outhouse, and he would chant his japa. He'd do his chanting there. So people would pass him by and be like, "Oh, this crazy guy, he's standing there." But Babaji Maharaj, because he didn't want to be bothered by people of this world. He just wanted to engage fully in Krishna's service and just be absorbed in Krishna. So outwardly, he did what looked like something far out, but internally, the difference is the internal state. Another example, a famous example from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is Jat Bharat, who, this was his third birth actually, the third birth of Maharaj Bharat. And when he took his birth as Jat Bharat, but Maharaj Bharat, he was a great king who had come to a point where he was leaving his kingdom to fulfill self-realization, which is actually the proper progression. Whereas, once we're at a certain point in life, we should leave our family affairs, our duties, and just focus all our remaining energy on the Lord. Actually, Bharat Maharaj was still pretty young at this time when he gave up his kingdom. He is described in the Bhagavatam. He had so much opulence, so many wives. He practically ruled the entire world. But he gave it up just as one gives up stool, is described. Then he was in the forest performing his religious duties, his bhajan, and he became attached to a deer. This attachment then led him to take a deer's body in his next birth. And actually, one boon, one benediction that he had while in the deer's body was he was able to remember everything of his past life. So you can imagine being in a little deer's body and you're just like, what is going on? And you just remember that you were a king with all opulence, and then you were living in the forest and you were performing, you were worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but now you're in a deer's body because of some attachment that came. But then he just performed as a deer. He just went to the ashram and performed asana and heard from the sages. Then in his next birth, he took birth as Jat Bharat. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it's described that the transcendentalist takes his birth, when falling down from a position, doesn't finish on the path of perfection. He takes his birth in a favorable situation in his next life. So Jat Bharat was born in a very favorable situation. He was born in a Brahmana family. Had all facility. His father was trying to get him trained up to get all the samskaras for becoming Brahmana, or for taking the proper measures to be trained up as a Brahmana. But Jat Bharat, from his very birth, exhibited so-called foolish activities, but with the purpose, is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, the purpose because he didn't want to become entangled again. So his father was trying to teach him how to properly engage in this world. Go to the bathroom, then take a shower. He would do the opposite. He would go to the bathroom, he would take a shower, then go to the bathroom. And stay like that. And he would walk around naked around the city. And everyone would throw fruits and say bad words to him, but he was just completely self-satisfied, Brahma Bhuta, Prasanatma. You couldn't disturb him. He would just walk around just complete transcendental bliss and ecstasy all the time, just focusing on the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart. The stage of perfection is attained as soon as one is fixed in irrevocable devotional service. Devotional service is not inactivity, but the unalloyed activity of the soul. The soul's activity becomes adulterated in contact with matter, and as such, the disease activities are expressed in the form of lust, desire, hankering, inactivity, foolishness, and sleep. So, one thing, our activities actually is described in the Bhagavad Gita. We have activities, activities such as eating, even happiness, and our activities, eating, and happiness can be found within the three different modes of material nature. So, for example, the eating can be found in three different modes of nature, and it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita in the 17th chapter, starting with the 7th verse. Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now here are the distinctions between them. Food dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease. And food prepared more than 3 hours before eating, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. So, I know food in the mode of darkness used to be very dear to me, but now it's repulsive, actually. And it's interesting how when we're engaging in devotional service, we can start to perceive the changes for ourselves. Like when we're walking around the city, there's these halal carts set up all over the place. So you're just constantly getting hit with this smell of burning flesh. And it becomes, whereas something before I would, become alive, like, wow, yes, a nice meal. Now it's kind of like, you kind of get bubble guts. You just even thinking about it, it's like, oh, it's the burning flesh of an animal. Because this knowledge and this purification is coming. Food in the mode of goodness, Krishna says, are pleasing to the heart. So we offer milk products, grains, fruits to Krishna, and these extend the duration of life and purify. And these are actually foods that Krishna likes. He likes foods in the mode of goodness, and he asks for it. Patram pushpam palam toyam, and offer me with love a fruit, a flower, water, or a leaf. So Prabhupada mentions in his purport that Krishna is telling us the type of foods he likes to eat. So we offer to Krishna the type of foods he likes to eat, and then we take that as prasadam. And then he mentions in the food prepared more than 3 hours before eating is in the mode of darkness, but then Prabhupada says that prasadam is always transcendental. So sometimes we see outside the fridge.
In hot India, it goes rotten, right? In the fridge, and things.
Yeah. But one thing I was just remembering, Nata Bhargaranga, he went to visit his spiritual master at they do a Panihati festival every year, and he brought back some sweet rice. And he kept it for months. It had become molded.
Really?
But still, he said, "This is my Guru Maharaj's Maha." So he would take it still and be in bliss, complete bliss, because prasadam is transcendental foodstuffs. Of course, dependent to our consciousness, and we also don't want to just devotees to get sick, maybe just eating maybe some prasadam that might have gone a little off. So we do take some precaution, but for the most part, prasadam, you should see prasadam as transcendental foodstuffs. Mercy of the Lord.
Even if you get sick, it still makes food.
Yeah, it still makes food better. Then so that's foods in the different modes, and then in the 14th chapter, Krishna mentions the activity in the 3 different modes. So he's saying sometimes, and the modes sometimes they compete with each other. And it's mentioned here, sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharat. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there's always competition for supremacy. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. O chief of the Bharatas, when there's an increase of the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruit of activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. So we see this New York City is purely in the mode of passion and ignorance. So there's people running around with the sole purpose, fruit of activity, trying to, earn the money, and it's in this city. It's like, you're working so hard, and then people have barely enough to get by, and they're working all day, every day. So it's just a really, really going after fruit of activity, but it's kind of like you can't even amass to pretty much anything. You're just like making just enough to survive. So even the desires they have, they can't really even fulfill, to go here or have this thing and have so much wealth. It's in a city like New York, it's like completely even difficult to even for them to even come to this point of actually fulfilling their material desires and fruit of activity. Intense endeavor and uncontrollable desire for a hankering develop. And then 13, when there's an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. And we see this manifestation of the mode of ignorance when we're in the subway, especially Jackson Heights. We always get these drunks. Drunks, and they're coming around the Harinam, and they're just they're incomplete. They're just they're not even in tune at all with what's going on. They're just like in their own world, completely illusion, and this is completely sunk in the mode of ignorance. And then in the 18th chapter, Krishna mentions the happiness in the different modes. Starting with verse 37, he says that in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one's self-realization. It's said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. We have experienced this, at least I do, every morning, beginning my, starting off my day, having to wake up. It's like, oh my God, again, you wake up, your alarm goes off, and you're just like, oh, I gotta do this, gotta go to Mangalarti, gotta chant my rounds. But at the end of the morning program, it's like I'm completely ecstatic. After I've chanted my 16 rounds, and after I've gone through the whole morning program, the veil of ignorance starts to remove, and because it's what we're performing is activities in the mode of pure goodness, but still you get the same effect where in the beginning it's kind of like, okay, I gotta get going, but some austerity is taken, but at the end you're receiving the benefits. It's like nectar at the end. That happiness is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first but poison in the end, is said to be the nature of passion. And Prabhupada gives the example: a young woman and a young man and a young woman meet, and the senses drive the young man to see her, to touch her, and to have sexual intercourse. In the beginning, this may be very pleasing to the senses, but at the end or after some time, it becomes just like poison. They are separated, or there is divorce. There is lamentation, there is sorrow. Such happiness is always in the mode of passion. Happiness derived from a combination of the senses and the sense objects is always a cause of distress and should be avoided by all means. And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be in the nature of ignorance. So like one idea that comes to mind is like the classic couch potato person just sitting down on the couch and like in complete happiness and bliss, but that's complete ignorance. And it's like, might have been up all night, eating all types of foods and intoxicating all types of ways. And that's that's happiness in the mode of ignorance, because you're not benefiting anybody, you're not benefiting yourself, and you're in complete delusion. So that is activities, eating, and happiness in the three different modes. The Prabhupada here continues, he says, the effect of devotional service becomes manifest by complete elimination of these effects of passion and ignorance. The devotee is fixed at once in the mode of goodness, and thus he makes further progress to rise to the position of Vasudev, or the state of unmixed sattva, or Shuddha sattva. Only in the Shuddha sattva can one always see Krishna eye to eye by dint of pure affection for the Lord. Chaito dharpana marjanam, by engaging in this chanting Hare Krishna. Chaito is the heart. Dharpanam is mirror, marjanam is cleanse. So we're cleansing the heart. And what is the heart becoming cleansed? It's becoming cleansed of the anarthas. It's also becoming cleansed of the effects of the modes. So Prabhupada is mentioning here the effects of passion and ignorance are, lust, desire, hankering, inactivity, foolishness, and sleep. Of course, we need our sleep to a certain extent. Not to oversleep. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions that a perfect yogi sleeps the right amount, not too much, not too little. And there's a nice anecdote on this, on the point of sleep. Srila Prabhupada, there was one disciple, Srila Prabhupada, who it's in the following Srila Prabhupada series, where it was something like he didn't get any sleep that night, and he was like, Prabhupada, he was like falling asleep, and Prabhupada said, Prabhupada asked him something, and he said, Prabhupada, I didn't get any sleep last night. And he said, this is very good. He said, actually, our aim is to make eating 0, mating 0, defending 0, and sleeping 0. But we don't tell people this. But obviously we can't imitate the highest platform, of the devotees who, like Srila Prabhupada, didn't need barely any sleep. And actually Prabhupada said, I do not like to sleep. He only slept 1.5, 2 hours a day. And then he would be up. Because what happens is when you're situated in your eternal spiritual identity, and your body is fully spiritualized, you're no longer affected by the laws of this material world. To some extent, still the body decays, but you're not under the control of the laws of material nature. Krishna says that this divine energy of mine, consisting of the three these three laws of material nature, what is it? Mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, are very difficult to overcome. But one who surrenders unto me can easily overcome them. So the pure devotees are fully surrendered unto Krishna. So Krishna can very easily not let them be affected by any of the entangling of the modes, as we're seeing here. Sleep is one of the in the mode of ignorance. And coming to the Shuddha Sattva, one can always see Krishna eye to eye by dint of pure affection for the Lord. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santasa Deva Yesu Vilokayanti Yavshama Sundaram Achinta Gunasha Rupam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So there's pure vision, seeing Krishna face to face. This is when we develop, when our eyes are tinged with the salve of love. Then we can see Krishna face to face by His mercy, of course. But by coming to a point of goodness, we're doing this sadhana every day. We're living in this, we're living in this ashram, and we're engaged in the process. There's two processes: Bhagavat Marg and Pancharitika Vidi, which is the rules and regulations. So we have the rules and regulations for the purpose of bringing us to a mode of goodness, which from the mode of goodness, it's easier to come to the transcendental platform. Even though the transcendental platform of bhakti is independent of the modes, of course, but still it's kind of like we wake up. It's easier to wake up when you're in a clean room and a clean environment. When you're in a pure state, it's easier to chant and look at these when you're in a quiet place. Instead of, versus like Krishna Prabhu always mentions how it's difficult to focus on the holy name when we're chanting in the Union Square subway for him, because it's so loud. There's so many people rushing here and there, and so their environment, at least when we're in the practitioner stage, does have an effect on our ability to render service. So we try to maintain a pure state. And at least for me, before even coming and meeting the devotees, I had no idea what really goodness was. Washing your hands. It's like they have to make that a law in places. So people actually like follow it. It's like in every you go into restrooms at restaurants and they say all employees must wash their hands. They're making that like something that, because people just might not know it. They have to wash their hands and be clean. So coming to this point of sattva, then we can come to the transcendental position much easier. A devotee is always in the mode of unalloyed goodness, therefore he harms no one. But the non-devotee, however educated he may be, is always harmful. A devotee is neither foolish nor passionate. The harmful, foolish, and passionate cannot be devotees of the Lord, however they may advertise themselves as devotees by outward dress. A devotee is always qualified with all the good qualities of God. Qualitatively, such qualifications may be different, but quantitatively, such qualifications may be different, but qualitatively. In this connection, there's a verse in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the 5th canto. Yasyati bhaktir bhavata yakinchana sarvagunas tatra samsasai sura hara vabhaktasya kuto mahagunan mano ratena sati dhattato bahi. All the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service, engaged in material activities, has no good qualities. Even if he's the adept at the practice of mystic yoga or honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? So this is mirroring, this verse is basically mirroring what Prabhupada is talking about here, how the harmful, foolish, and passionate cannot be devotees of the Lord, however they may advertise themselves as devotees by outward dress. A devotee is always qualified with all the good qualities of God. So sometimes, and besides his outward dress, one thing that is pointed out also in this verse is the outward dress is not the all in all, is also the inward mentality of the devotee that must be there. So externally, someone may be showing they're such a good person, but what counts is what's going on inside, really. Because even for us, we're dressed as devotees, or we're dressed as Vaishnavas, but our mentality or what we're thinking inside is what's counting. Externally, we do engage in the activities of devotional service, but internally also we want to cultivate this mood of surrender. We want to cultivate this dependence on Krishna. It's just like Srila Prabhupada was fully dependent on Krishna. We see in his prayer, the Jaladuta, I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have full faith in the holy name of Krishna. We see that the pure devotees, they're always praying for guidance, they're praying for shelter, and they're asking the Lord, please help me, please, I need your help, I need your guidance. They're praying to the pure devotees. So this is also must be our thought, not that externally I'm dressed like a devotee, but inside I'm thinking, okay, I'm the best devotee. All these people wish they can be like me. Oh, and then we're always thinking about how others are doing something wrong and how I don't do anything wrong. And so this is the mentality of the devotee. The devotee is internally pure, internally cultivating this mood of surrender, which helps us move forward in our devotional service. So the verse again, as soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Does anybody have any questions?
I was going to say that there's a nice on page 287 of the Bhagavad Gita. So it's chapter 7, text 1, actually. And it's actually related to this chapter we're doing, this text from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam about the modes of material nature. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly.
Is it the purport?
Yeah.
You should know about post these five.
Yeah, these 5 verses.
Okay.
These 5 verses we're reading right now. Wrote Prabhupada quote.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Once again, I'm just so marveled by the miracle of how this whole creation is created. Because there are ways to achieve this level of devotional service by elevating oneself from ignorance to passion and goodness, right? And that also helps to achieve this level of devotional service. I mean, it goes both ways also, because if we are trying to serve, we dedicate fully our life, every second of our life to service, but at the same time we eat food in the mode of ignorance or passion, it is a huge obstacle for us. Because, you see, and the beauty of the whole thing, it's lined up for us in Vedas. This knowledge is given to us. When we are not in ignorance, we know that, and we can advance. It is a way of also assist our purification by choosing proper foods, because there is a direct link between the food stuff that we are putting in our body and our mind state. In 2 hours after ingesting food, the effect shows, the ojas are created. And if you're eating food in the mood of goodness, you are in the mood of goodness, period. If you're eating the food in the mood of ignorance and passion, respectfully. So one has to be, so in our spiritual path, we have to help ourselves with every possible tool. They say yoga, Hatha yoga purifies prana in the heart. Do Hatha yoga. It brings also peace of mind. Avoiding foodstuffs which are in ignorance, like hing, which is in Ayurvedic literature. It says that hing, it is in the mode of ignorance. and it can cause all kind of mental problems. Salty, over salted food, over spicy food. Yeah, all these over things. It's dragging us back. Honestly, sometimes you go and eat this spicy food and Sunday feast, and all of a sudden next morning you woke up. Where is your devotion gone? Where is your everything gone? You don't like to do service anymore. That's the sadhakas, the fight, daily fight. But if we are in knowledge, right? If we are not in ignorance of all this science, because everything is scientific. This creation is totally scientific. The method is scientific too.
for sure.
Everything is based on Ayurveda, right? Regarding our body. So not only that, when we get into this level, as the verse says, of unalloyed, uninterrupted devotional service, then we will lose all the taste, and we will lose all those, we will not be anymore in ignorance and passion. It is we have to use all the tools to elevate ourselves, since we still are dependent on those moods. They affect us seriously, right? So that's one has to be really, really cautious with that.
Yeah, therefore, devotees are recommended to always take prasadam. This is the end all, because prasadam ultimately is transcendental. So yes, there are the effects of the foods in the different modes. But we offer our foodstuffs to Krishna, and yeah, we should be careful with what we eat. Like we shouldn't just say, okay, I'm taking every day. I'm just gonna have ice cream prasadam for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is ice cream prasadam. We also try to eat a proper diet. Krishna says the yogi knows the proper amount to eat, and the what is it? He knows to eat too much. Knows to eat not too much or not too little. He eats the proper amount. Yeah, so we should find out. Also, because different people, different foods affect them. Some people might need more of something else, less of something else. So it's an individual. Like Prabhupada, like some devotees would say, Prabhupada, I can't do this Indian food. It's not good for my body. So Prabhupada would tell him, eat what's good for you. Eat what's good for you. So they would make some separate thing, whatever salad, fruits, whatever would be. Like I know here, Hidarami Maharaj, he always mentions like, peanut butter and jelly is like his thing, So it's like, yeah, the foods, but then the purpose of the food is to energize us, so then we can engage in our service. Because the main thing is the service. The main thing is the service.
I was thinking a few years ago, you and me, became, I think both of us weren't even initiated yet. We came to Harlem, this area over here, and we were walking by, and we looked at this church, and we thought, it'll be great if we have a nice Krishna Balaram temple there. And somehow we're living, so close to that place now. But while we were on that excursion, we were going store to store also. So I remember we entered into this restaurant or whatever it was, and there, we saw this whole big, was a big tray or something of boiling oil, and that oil was this dead bodies of chickens, and that time, you were telling me man, some time ago, or my mouth would start watering when I see this stuff, but now I'm just disgusted by it. And I was thinking of that, and also I was thinking of how horrible the consciousness is. Actually, we took a photo of it, and we're driving by the spot, and there's place with the same picture still there. There was a picture of a guy, there was a picture of a body of a man with a head of a goat, of him cutting meat. That was the butcher shop that we went into. And we somehow Gopal, let me try this one. So I had $3 seeds, let me try this one. Went in there and we distributed a meditation and a book on sensei. Please take a book, you need this. He just gave $1 for it, and he took the book. And while we were walking out, we were wow, people are so much in the mode of ignorance that they walk into this butcher shop looking at this picture and they still buy the meat anyway. You know, I was like marveled by that fact that, you know, people like, it's clearly like this was going to happen to you in your next life, they don't care.
And the things they don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the other things they
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
like, but it's like
Yeah.
subconsciously they know, like, looking at that picture is like, oh my god, you know?
It's like there's so much,
Yeah.
there's happiness in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
don't even-
well, I don't care.
They don't even, it's like they don't even know. It's like, oh, whatever. Ignorance is bliss, you know.
Yeah, literally, that's,
I'm gonna go eat my meat and be jolly.
Yeah.
and be merry.
drink my beer, yeah. The picture is still there, I just saw it a few days ago.
So therefore, like we were just reading, in the preaching is the essence.
Really clear.
Prabhupada was saying, you know, this knowledge has to be distributed throughout the world.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, it's like people are unknowingly committing so many sinful activities, and then they, you know, becoming so degraded by it. And, you know, what awaits them in their future lives.
Yeah.
This is what Prabhupada was, you know, meditating on, waking up, you know, early morning hours every day to write, for these books to go out there. He was thinking of every single one of them. He was thinking of every single living entity in the entire creation. How can I save them? How can I help them? You know, getting this transcendental blot of printing and distributing these books so the knowledge can be distributed to every single person in the world.
Yeah.
That's what Prabhupada was thinking of. He's seeing them. He's like, they're going to transmigrate to the lowest of nominal species of life in their next life. And they're going to suffer so much. You know, and Prabhupada, he's feeling that. He's had so much compassion for the living entities that he's sacrificing his entire life, practically, to try to bring us out of that entanglement, and bring us to the real life of, you know, going back to Godhead, engaging in Krishna's transcendental devotional service.
And just the proof to all this material nature creation, how wonderful it's created from ignorance to, you know, to passion and to goodness, and then to transcend it. People who come and get books from you, right? You can see that a lot of them are in the mode of goodness. You actually don't even choose and pick, you give it to everybody. But I noticed that people, when they show interest, when they approach on their own, they're already vegetarians for many years. They are looking, they're searching for improvement. So they're totally in the mode of goodness in many aspects. And now they're ready for this knowledge. They're ready, they're receptive. And that's, I bet you noticed that too, right? People,
Oh yeah, for sure.
they're totally in the mode of
That's definitely.
goodness, yeah.
But I mean, also Krishna within the heart is like we heard Prahlada Maharaj saying, you know, depending on the desire of the devotee. Also, if the desire of the devotee is strong enough, anyone can get it.
Absolutely, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. But yesterday what happened, you were unpacking and the box was like this and the science was showing, huh? So the person went from this hallway all the way to the box and what is it? I am looking for this, I am looking for something, I am interested in that.
Yeah, no, for sure, there's people.
And I
For
started to talk to him, he was totally in the mode of
For
goodness.
sure.
Yeah.
Totally in the mode of goodness. He said there's always room for improvement. That's what he said.
For sure.
Yeah, we also give sometimes books to people in the mode of complete ignorance. I remember we were in Union Square and there was this guy, he was so drunk. Do you remember the Spanish guy? He was so drunk, he couldn't even speak a word. I said, bro, you're so drunk right now. Can you give a donation? Said, hermano, donación. And he gave a donation, said, okay, now you're drunk on alcohol, now you get drunk in Lord Chaitanya's mercy, you know.
That's true, because Lord Nityananda, absolutely.
So that's why, you know, that's why we hear, you know, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they go out and they give the mercy to anyone and everyone without even considering if they qualify or not. So, we'll give it up. Any other comments?
I mean, since since the offering hasn't come down, I was thinking about, Prabhupada writing these books, they're so important, to have Sambandha Gyan, for people to understand the eternal relationship with the Supreme Absolute. Srila Prabhupada was writing his law books, and when Prabhupada was writing his books, he wrote them in such a way that in accordance to where a person is, they'll have that level of realization. Just by reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, those on the level of that state of realization, they can understand Prayojan Tattva. They can understand the full loving exchange with Krishna, Abhidaya and Prayojana. And also Prabhupada wrote his books in such a way that even by reading one single page, you can understand your eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that you should mold your life around that. The point you were making, right? Prabhupada is writing every plot, everything, you're thinking of the suffering nature of this world. It's really, Prabhupada gave him an alternative way of life, through these books. And
They
these
have
books
one
must be
purport, and I don't know where it is, where it says that women are less intelligent than men.
right.
I feel like that's a statement that kind of weeds out a lot of women.
Well, that's their misfortune.
Yeah, but that's on the bodily concept. And it's like that. It's kind of like if you have a Toyota, the Toyota is designed to drive 100 miles an hour, whereas the Ferrari is designed to drive 200 miles an hour. So the statement to say that a Toyota is not as fast as a Ferrari is not like a, it's like a far out statement. It's just the way it's designed. A cow moves, a dog barks. It's like, but if you see a dog mooing, you're like, whoa, there's something going on here. And then that's what Prabhupada always made the statement. Like Vishaka, for example, came to Prabhupada with that same thing. Prabhupada, you're saying women are less intelligent. What is this? So why do you consider yourself a woman?
Yeah.
Why are you seeing yourself as a woman? You're a spirit soul.
I had a situation where I had to deal with this conversation, and it took me months to kind of get the understanding that first class intelligence is going back to Godhead, is understanding that this world is fake. And I said to this woman, how do you believe that is first class intelligence? She doesn't believe. She knows about Krishna consciousness, but she doesn't have understanding and faith and belief that is first class. Her first class is actual second class, where it's just knowledge, scientific and
Yeah.
So I'm like, you don't even believe what first class intelligence is. So basically, this statement doesn't even apply to you.
So I mean, so therefore, it's because people are so stuck in the bodily conception of life, when they're reading. This is another thing. People, when they're reading Prabhupada's books, if they're not getting the proper understanding, they'll just filter it through their own contaminations. When they read that, a woman will read that and be like, oh, forget this. I hate this Krishna consciousness. So many times that happens. Women come up and, how come in your religion they treat women like they're worthless? And it's like,
No, we don't. We worship.
That's not our philosophy. You can look. The woman is meant to be protected, meant to be taken care of. Some statements are they're like that, but ultimately it's that's just the design of the body. That's the way Krishna designed the body.
Ultimately, it's good for our ego.
Yeah.
But then the point isn't, Prabhupada doesn't just harp on that point. It's like he mentions it in two purports, that it is thousands and thousands and thousands of purports. The women are less intelligent. So, but the point is, if you look at what he's trying to bring us to, is that okay, you're not a man and you're not a woman, you're a spirit soul. So when you're thinking on that platform, then you're not on this lower levels of being engaged. Of course, we act our duty according to our body, but internally we cultivate this attachment. It's mentioned that in the section of householders in the of the Grihastha Ashram in the 7th canto, that externally the Grihastha is supposed to show affection and love to his family. It's not like it's not like he becomes complete. It's not like he's like a devotee and he's just like, oh, don't forget these. Oh, my child is crying. When we get his own whatever. No, you show affection, but internally, okay, I'm just performing this duty, but this is just another spirit soul. I'm not this body, they're not their body. I'm really not, internally you keep that inside in your heart, this is not really my wife, this is not really mine. So you keep that internal detachment, but externally you engage in the affairs of this world. Yes.
Prabhu, so you said again about this internal thing that, and earlier you said that we should cultivate internal devotion, or internally we should cultivate this mood of surrender. But if it's internal, how can we assess ourselves that we are actually doing it right?
Oh no, you do it externally also. You kind of mix two different points. You want to know about the second point, not the external detachment. External detachment.
No, internally, how we should cultivate that mood of surrender.
What's going on inside will also manifest outside. You can't put on a show of being a devotee for years and years and years. You can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool everyone all the time. So it's like it's described the so-called Mayavadi, when they reach the perfectional stage, and then after so many years, and they come back to and they start doing philanthropic work, or they engage in affairs with women, or they do something because they won't be able to maintain that so-called renunciation if it's not happening internally. Also, even though externally they're oh God, nothing senses. No, I'm completely restrained. No, but it's not. It won't maintain. It won't last.
Also on that point, we can see examples of perfect devotees like Queen Kunti, Draupadi, all these people, although they were fully pure devotees, it's eternal association with Krishna, they still played their duty, they being in a woman's body, Queen Kunti played the duty of being a mother, and she didn't want to become a king, or she didn't want to take a lead role, just doing their duty. Even internally may be very elevated soul, but externally you should still perform your duty. Tamakrishna Maharaj, Sholajuna Maharaj sometimes have to initiate disciples who are way more advanced than me. But that doesn't mean the advanced disciple stops treating the guru like the guru.
Bhagavatam.
Narottam Das Thakur, in one of his songs he says that, I think it's, I don't know which song it is, he says that one should develop their internal identity while at the same time taking care of their external sadhana and everything like that. So it's like you said, it's both. It's like sometimes they say actually Prabhupada said many things. He said it's not that we boycott the gopis. Sometimes Prabhupada says that sometimes devotees what's called cherry picking. They cherry picking shlokas, so or they only read about Krishna in Rasa Lila or like that, for example. So I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that you have to study both. Not both. You should all Krishna's pastimes. They're all transcendental, absolute, like that. Of course, there's higher rasas and everything like that. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that, if, for example, you're agitated by sex desire or whatever like that, then you should also study, Krishna, Vasudeva, Krishna fighting with the demons, like for example.
To remove the anarthas.
To remove the anarthas like that. Of course, notwithstanding, we everything we do is actually for Krishna's pleasure. So just like we chant we don't chant Hare Krishna because we like it. We chant Hare Krishna because Krishna likes it. So in the same way, we study Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. We don't boycott the gopis, but at the same time, we're also meant to, we're not meant to cherry pick like that. It's all Krishna's pastimes. So Krishna fighting with the demons is also recommended.
Yeah. All right, we'll stop here. Thank you all for your kind attention. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi.
Gopal Champu Prabhu ki
Jai.